You wake up, look at your phone, and realize you have 15 more minutes before you actually have to get out of bed. So you close your eyes, you hit the snooze button, you think you are doing your body a favor. You think you are getting extra rest. Painful truth is that every single time you hit that button and drift back to sleep, you are biologically castrating your neurochemistry for the rest of the day. You wonder why you are chronically exhausted despite spending 8 or 9 hours in bed. You wonder why your brain fog is so thick you cannot focus on a simple task. It is because you believe that more time in bed equals more energy. That is a lie. In this clinical breakdown, I will show you exactly why 8 hours of sleep makes you weak and how you are actively destroying your dopamine baseline before you even step out of bed. Your morning fatigue is not a lack of motivation. It is neurochemical sabotage. Society has sold you a very comfortable myth. You have been told that 8 hours of sleep is the absolute standard for human health. You track your sleep, you stare at your wearable device, and if it says 8 hours, you expect to feel amazing. But you do not. You wake up feeling heavy. You drag your feet to the kitchen. You rely on massive doses of artificial caffeine just to feel somewhat human by noon. If 8 hours is the perfect biological prescription, why are you still so tired? Because human biology does not operate on a flat industrial 8-hour clock. It operates on dynamic, deeply calibrated neurochemical waves. When you prioritize duration over efficiency, you treat your brain like a machine that just needs to be turned off and on again. But sleep is a highly aggressive state of biological repair. When you wake up weak, it is not because you need more sleep. It is because you woke up at the exact wrong moment in your biological cycle, and your brain is punishing you for it. This is the devastating architecture of sleep inertia. Let us dissect exactly what happens when you hit the snooze button. Human sleep is divided into 90-minute cycles. Within these 90 minutes, you travel from light sleep down into deep, slow-wave sleep, and then back up into rapid eye movement or REM sleep. When your alarm goes off the first time, you might be near the top of a cycle. Your brain is close to consciousness. You feel a bit groggy, but you could easily get up. But instead, you choose comfort. You hit snooze for 10 minutes. This is a catastrophic biological error. By falling back asleep, you force your brain to initiate a brand new 90-minute sleep cycle. Your brain begins the descent into deep hibernation. It prepares to shut down your motor functions. It prepares to release massive amounts of delta waves, and then, exactly 10 minutes later, your alarm violently rips you awake. Your brain is caught completely off guard. It is stuck in the deepest, heaviest phase of the sleep cycle. This phenomenon is clinically known as sleep inertia. You are forcing your brain to wake up while it is paralyzed. Sleep inertia is not just feeling sleepy. It is a severe cognitive impairment. When you wake up in the middle of a newly initiated sleep cycle, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, discipline, and focus, is severely underpowered. It can take up to 4 hours for your brain to fully clear the neurochemical fog of sleep inertia. For 4 hours, your reaction times are delayed. Your memory consolidation is broken. Your emotional regulation is completely compromised. You are operating at 20% capacity. And you did this to yourself because you wanted 10 minutes of fake comfort. You traded 4 hours of elite focus for 10 minutes of low-quality, fragmented unconsciousness. But the damage goes far deeper than just brain fog. You are hijacking your hormones. To understand why you feel so weak, you must understand the cortisol awakening response. Most people in the self-improvement space view cortisol as the enemy. They think cortisol is just the stress hormone that destroys your testosterone and makes you store body fat. That is only true if your cortisol is chronically elevated at night. But in the morning, cortisol is your absolute best friend. Cortisol is your biological ignition switch. When you open your eyes in the morning, your body is supposed to experience a massive, sharp spike in cortisol. This spike is what pulls you out of sleep. It increases your blood pressure slightly. It mobilizes glucose from your liver into your bloodstream so your muscles and brain have immediate energy. It makes you alert. It makes you sharp. But this spike is entirely dependent on light and momentum. Your dark, comfortable bedroom is keeping you weak. When you wake up in a pitch black room, hit snooze, and bury your face in the pillows, you are suppressing the cortisol awakening response. Your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in your brain, does not receive the signal that the day has started. Because the cortisol spike is delayed and blunted, your body remains in a low-energy, lethargic state. Instead of getting a sharp peak of energy in the morning, that cortisol slowly leaks out over the rest of the day. This is why you feel exhausted in the morning, but suddenly feel wired, stressed, and anxious at 10 o'clock at night. Your entire biological clock is inverted. You are living in a constant state of jet lag without ever getting on a plane. And then you make the ultimate neurochemical mistake. You reach for your phone. You finally get out of bed, still heavily suffering from sleep inertia. Your dopamine baseline is completely flat because you suppressed your natural cortisol spike. Your brain is desperately looking for a chemical lift. So you grab your phone, you open social media. You start scrolling through highly engineered, hyper-stimulating short-form content. This is the equivalent of smoking a cigarette first thing in the morning. You are flooding your brain with cheap, unearned dopamine before you have achieved a single thing. Dopamine is not the chemical of pleasure. It is the chemical of motivation and pursuit. When you spike your dopamine instantly by looking at a screen, you establish a toxic baseline for the day. Your brain registers that it can receive massive rewards for absolutely zero effort. Why would it allocate energy to hard work, deep focus, or building a business when you already gave it the ultimate neurochemical reward for moving your thumb? You are draining your motivation battery before you even brush your teeth. So how do we fix this? We engineer a ruthless clinical morning protocol. Elite performers do not rely on 8 hours of fragmented sleep. They rely on biological precision. The goal is not to sleep longer. The goal is to wake up at the exact mathematical peak of your sleep architecture. Step 1 is the 90-minute math. You must calculate your wake-up time based on complete sleep cycles. If you need to wake up at 6:30 a.m., you count backward in 90-minute blocks. 6 hours is exactly 4 cycles. 7.5 hours is exactly 5 cycles. 8 hours is a biological dead zone. If you sleep for 8 hours, you are practically guaranteeing that your alarm will go off in the middle of a cycle, triggering severe sleep inertia. Choose 6 hours or 7.5 hours. Set your alarm, and when it rings, you execute step 2, the immediate, non-negotiable physical exit. The snooze button is no longer an option. It does not exist in your reality. When the alarm sounds, you must physically remove yourself from the bed within 3 seconds. You do not negotiate with your mind. Your mind is currently operating on primitive, comfort-seeking software. You override it with physical action. You stand up. You leave the room. By breaking the physical environment of the bed, you signal to your nervous system that the hibernation phase is permanently over. Step 3 is the light exposure protocol. Within the first 10 minutes of waking up, you must expose your naked eyes to direct outdoor sunlight. Not light through a window, not the artificial light of your bathroom. Real, unfiltered photons from the sun. When natural light hits your retina, it sends an electrical impulse directly to the master clock in your brain. This instantly halts the production of melatonin. More importantly, it triggers the massive cortisol awakening response we discussed earlier. It provides a natural, biological surge of alertness that makes artificial caffeine completely obsolete. You must force blood into the prefrontal cortex. Step 4 is rapid physiological activation. You must shock your system out of its resting state. This does not mean a 2-hour brutal workout. It means 3 to 5 minutes of intense physical state change. Splash freezing cold water on your face. The shock of the cold activates the mammalian dive reflex. It drops your heart rate momentarily and then forces a massive release of adrenaline and noradrenaline. Do 20 push-ups, do 50 jumping jacks. You must force oxygen-rich blood into your brain. When you elevate your core body temperature rapidly in the morning, you instantly vaporize any remaining brain fog. Protect your dopamine baseline at all costs. Step 5 is the absolute restriction of cheap dopamine. Your phone remains on airplane mode for the first 60 minutes of the day. No social media, no emails, no external inputs. You must protect the quiet, focused state of your morning mind. Use this first hour to do the most difficult, cognitively demanding task of your day. Write the code, outline the project, read the dense material. Because your dopamine has not been hijacked by cheap stimulation, your brain will naturally direct its motivational drive toward the difficult task. You will enter a state of flow effortlessly. You will accomplish more in this single hour than most average people accomplish in a 12-hour workday. This is the difference between the exhausted masses and the elite. Most people are victims of their own biology. They sleep for 8 hours, hit snooze 3 times, look at their phones in the dark, and then wonder why they lack discipline. They blame their genetics, they blame their jobs, they blame everything except their own lack of biological control. They are walking around in a self-induced coma, paying the ultimate price of lost potential. But not you. You understand that energy is not a given, it is engineered. While others chase the comfort of 10 extra minutes in bed, you embrace the immediate friction of waking up. While others destroy their dopamine with screens, you protect your neurochemistry like it is the most valuable asset you own. Because it is. You do not need more sleep to be successful. You need absolute precision. That is not just discipline, that is leverage. And leverage is the quiet, invisible superpower that separates the weak from the absolute elite. Optimize your biology. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next protocol.